Hello, this is Lomiai speaking. This is episode 12 of Banners of North America. We have OM today, Ordo Militaris, and the leader of which is Helatios. We have him as the lead guest. We have two of his captains, I guess you would say, Hávarðr and Kaeylic. I believe that's how it's pronounced. We'll find out very shortly. And Mr. Warbandman. Mr. Warband, can you say hi?
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back on the stream. It's been a while, but it's nice to be back, and we've got plenty of guests this time.
Yes, we do. I was not expecting five. I kind of wanted to keep it to four, but this is a place of, open. It's an open forum, so we'll have to adapt, improvise, and overcome. As you can see, I believe we've done that quite well for the format. Helatios, would you say hello to the audience and then introduce the guest that you've brought from your clan?
Hi, I'm Helatios, the owner of OM, and I've brought Hávarðr here, which is known also as Melcher, my squire, and Kaeylic, which is known as Captain Egan.
Hello to you both. Would you like to say hello to the audience, Mr. Hávarðr and Kaeylic?
Yeah. Like I said, my name's Hávarðr. I'm recently new to OM, but I'm just glad to be here.
Good stuff.
My name's Kaeylic, also known as Egon. That's actually how it's pronounced. And yes, Lumia, you were actually correct with your original pronunciation.
Oh, lovely.
I just like how Melcher had said before, he's still relatively new. I was here for the beginning of OM, if I remember correctly. But ultimately, yeah, I'm glad to be here to help explain some things if needed.
Lovely. Glad to have you. All right. So starting with Helatios and then moving down to you two, if you would like to pitch in. How and when was Ordo Militaris formed?
Well, Ordo Militaris was founded on September 17th of 2024, which is last year, correction. Well, it started with a simple idea with me and another guy called Sir Waltman, which is not here, also known as T. Troy on Discord. The idea behind it was to create a new clan in the NA community that could resemble and bring the EU principles and vision and mission to the NA part, right? So we, by the time we grew into more than just a clan and we became a community, centered on Bannerlord with the purpose of being structured and organized into the military crusades.
So you're kind of bringing you would say a very authentic medieval experience to the NA community clan scene. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We've never seen anyone recreate, not even in the EU, a community that resembles the Crusades back then, where there is many military orders you can form part of, with a actual mod pack. So yeah, we that's the reason why we created OM and how.
Do you guys have a strong commitment to historical accuracy?
We do, up to maybe 80%, because if we go 100% in, there would not be ranks such as, brother or Amsterman brother or maybe, like a recruit after initiate. The military orders back then only had two ranks, which was sergeant at arms and knights, basically. So, the purpose of having different things is to actually have a purpose for the new members to, progress through.
Yeah, I've always appreciated how the bigger clans have organized rank structures. Makes it a little bit more fun, especially when you have like different trees that you can diversify into. That always makes it quite nice. Do you all have like different trees of promotions that you go down, or is it mostly just a straight line?
Oh, well, we have different paths that we have a lot, and that's really cool. And, well, an initiate when he joins the community itself, because we're not just one order, we're many orders. But for now, we're just one. He has the options to become an initiate first. after he becomes an initiate and does his initiate training, the paths open, they expand. He can either become just a normal soldier that fights in the Crusades. He can also be a crusader and apply to the seminary, where he will become a seminarian and learn about theology. What does the seminarian do in his formation period? He will assist the priest on baptisms, knighthoodship ceremonies, masses, and daily prayers. Every initiate that passes his initiate training gets baptized. So there is actual, role play for the church to do. Within the church, there's a new whole system and world where after becoming a priest, passing your seminarian trials, you can aspire to become an archbishop or bishop. Correction, a bishop or archbishop. And then there's another path where you could become an instructor and train new initiates. That path is also done for those who are seeking to become sergeants. It is a way to prepare them for a sergeant position. And then last but not least, there is for squires and, loyal members, we have the Holy Inquisition, which is our judicial system where we do basically laws and new rules for the group, or we do counterintelligence and intelligence to find out if anyone is double clanning or anyone or any other clan wants to do something to us. So
like poach members or anything like that.
yes,
Well,
yes. So there is a lot of stuff to do, and yeah.
You have options.
Yeah, options. That's the biggest thing, kind of being in one place at one time, even if you're, or being at one place for a long time, even if you're having, some interesting things to look at. If you can't actually grow them into anything or expand on those opportunities, then it becomes very stagnant and stale.
Exactly. It's not. My bad.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's not all about being leadership. I think that what other clans offer is just you can aspire to be a sergeant or a cavalry guy or an archer guy or an infantry guy. I think what makes us different here for the options that members have is if you don't get a sergeant, you can get to the church and even aspire to become the cardinal of the whole community, where you're going to be in charge of the other archbishops of every church, because every military order has its own church, right? Or you could also aspire to be the king if by somehow you get to be a noble, right? So there's a lot of options that are not just entitled to scale and leadership positions when it comes to fighting. So yeah.
That's very
And
good.
to build off of what you were saying before, in regards to the whole, what was it? The accuracy, historical accuracy. Yes, we do try and keep to historical accuracy as much as possible without sacrificing the enjoyment of the people that actually join us and want to play. We try to find that balance between realism and enjoyment in the game.
Did you guys ever watch Kingdom of Heaven?
Oh yeah, all of us, yeah.
Let me
Sounds
ask you:
like
is that movie like a mandatory movie night once a month? It should be, in a way.
We've done movie nights about Kingdom of Heaven. We're not based in Kingdom of Heaven. We would like people think that watching the movie of Kingdom of Heaven, they could live their the movie inside OM. But Kingdom of Heaven is a noble, so it's not historical accurate.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes.
Were there any final notes on this question before we move on?
I don't know if Melcher here or Hávarðr has anything to say.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on to the second question. It's kind of continuing on the foundation of this first one. Why does OM put so much attention into role play specifically? I guess I also want to ask, like, what benefits does role play bring to the clans community that isn't seen in like other communities that just focus on the server part of the game? Why does OM focus and put a lot of energy into doing the role play?
Well, for that, I'll actually take care of this one. This is Egon, by the way, Kaeylic. Specifically for why we put so much attention into roleplay it's the community, really. We want to engage the community in what we're hoping to achieve, which is making them feel like they are back in time, so to speak. Um, get them immersed into what life would have or possibly could have been like, while still maintaining that. What was the word I used before? Enjoyment of the game. So that way they'll know what life was like back then during the Crusades, and they feel like they're part of it. They feel like they're part of the story, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and in terms of your second question within this one, as for benefits it can bring to other clans and communities, well, it's kind of like it's a whole community aspect type deal, because RP can bring certain communities together. It can bring clans together for joint ventures, joint RP events. It doesn't have to be all just done in Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever else you do. You can do it in the game itself. So that way you can have a physical character and basically play like you're within the world. Like you are there in the world.
Very good. That's what I like about like a lot of Bethesda games, Fallout, Skyrim. It's like you are one guy, and even though you have maybe a low rank, and then you have to rise to the ranks, you are able to really notice the impact that you're making on the world. So I think that's a pretty good
Exactly.
way to
Yes.
describe it.
You can set your own story, so to speak, whether you're just a lowly peasant who rises to a warlord or something else in mind. It's the creativity that allows you to create these stories and bring other people into them. Whereas with those Bethesda games, like you mentioned, Oblivion, Fallout, stuff like that, it's all NPCs. But in this, all the other people are actual players that you are interacting with. It's not just an NPC; it's an actual player somewhere in the world.
I like it. Helatios, do you have anything to add?
Pretty much, Egan has, or Kaeylic has said everything about, why pick us in roleplay,
Good.
and what makes us different from other communities.
Okay, well, let's ask the side question then. Do you think that other clans should expand the sort of RP that they do? Either maybe not, closer to the style that y'all do in OM, but do you think that more clans should consider, as a community measure, like implementing some aspects of greater RP or more in-depth RP?
Well, I think that they should implement certain RP, not to the extent we do, but let's not say RP, but make their members feel immersed into a medieval environment, right? Because there's groups that you join and they're cool guys. You're hanging out in a community, but you never feel that medieval feeling, sense that you were part of. Just feels more like arcadey gaming, Maybe
Yeah.
that could help bring the NA community or grow, like the EU has done it before.
Could also bring them together. And it doesn't necessarily have to be medieval. Just it could be whatever that group happens to be based around at the time, or whatever they happen to be interested in at the time. And they don't have to truly even do it. It's entirely up to them. It's their group. They're the ones that should make the decisions for that. We can only say what we would hope the community would be willing to expand into, so to speak.
Yeah, I do like what you said about RP kind of inspiring other groups to also join into that RP. That's what, a lot of people were saying about Feudal Kingdoms, the previous persistent mod, that the other clans, the fact that there was so much going on that other people were doing things forced whoever you were or whoever you it, because it's in the world and it's happening, so you have to kind of adapt to it, I guess. So that's really something interesting. I think that we could. I mean, I would love to see that.
It sounds like you guys need a Saracen clan that you can fight against. Because
We have
Ye-
it's not a clan itself, but we have a faction that we use as Saracens, and we have a whole loadout for it, and we are developing loadouts that are accurate for the IUB faction, and then the what's it called, the forgot the name of the other faction now, I'm sorry. It's the IUB. That was the first faction where Salahuddin was from. The what?
Fatimid Caliphate.
Yeah, that's
Where's
the
that?
other one. Yeah.
Oh, good job, Warband.
Which is the IUB faction it was around what we know now as Egypt. But yeah, the IUB faction was one of the biggest factions that had the Crusaders struggling with capturing the Middle Eastern. Then there's also the Mamluk Sultanate and other dynasties. But yeah, there's also the Fatimid Caliphate, as you said.
I
yeah.
have a question.
We have a whole team for that.
You have a specific time period because the Crusades went on for like 250 years. So
Yeah, we're not based in just one specific time era of the Crusade. We are starting right now in the First Crusade, which is slowly capturing the Middle Eastern from from the port of Messina to Cyprus or to Crete. We're starting to move and do the campaign slowly into Middle Eastern. And then it's not only going to be Middle Eastern, but there's also crusades on the Western and Eastern Europe part against the pagan forces, fought by the Military Order of Saint Mary, which is known also as the Teutonic Order.
Against the pagan Lithuanians.
There you go.
Lovely. I know I've played a few events on y'all specific mod and map. I know that that there's a question for like y'all's mod later on, so I don't want to get to it right now. But I there's a lot that's going to be said on that topic because those are pretty good. Last question on this section is can you tell us about the unique recruitment style of OM? Because you said like you're not just one order, you're like multiple things, but as it stands right now with the members that you have, you're just kind of one unit, but you're kind of setting up the clan to be multiple units within one big system. Is that correct, or would you like to expand on that?
Yeah. So like our recruitment system, you might all wonder how are we gonna expand or grow into many military orders. I think the most obvious one, and that most clans have tried to do, and that we are trying to do, is inviting other clans to form part of OM, those who share the same values and mission and vision like us. And the other one is creating new knights, which they happen to be squires after they finish their squireship training, where we show them how to administer a order or a chapter by following our principles and vision of it. They become a knight. They get their own vassalship and fief, which means they get their own uniforms, servers, TeamSpeak channels, Discord channels, and they are sent to recruit their own men. They are tasked with finding their own sergeants, their own captains. So there is a lot of opportunity right now for those who are seeking to join OM or looking to expand their progression in Bannerlord. So that's how we kind of recruit and have other groups or military orders grow at the same time.
Sounds pretty nice. I don't know if that's a system that I've heard of before. You allow your kind of like second and thirds in command to grow their own communities in conjunction with your overall system. That's very interesting.
Yes, imagine it as a franchise.
A franchise, yes. Okay.
Yeah, imagine you're McDonald's and you're trying to grow McDonald's, but you're not going to hire its manager or its cashier or its logistics guy. you're gonna place someone that will manage the franchise in Detroit, and then you'll place another guy who's gonna manage the franchise, I don't know, in maybe Chicago, right?
Okay.
And they're gonna do this. They're gonna recruit and grow their franchise following the vision and mission of the corporate, right? And that's how it works. So let's say that Egan recruits 2 guys. Those guys are for him, not for me. So let's say he was the Grandmaster of the Military Order of St. Mary, which are the Teutonics. He would have 2 guys in the Teutonic Order. If I don't recruit, then it's my fault for not recruiting, right? It's up to me to grow my order. So being a knight, being a squire is a high honor, but also comes with responsibilities.
Yeah, that's something that is kind of repeated in other clans. Like the higher you are, the more you're expected to recruit or kind of contribute to the bigger system. But
More
this one is
administration.
administration. I wanted to ask actually, Hávarðr and Kaeylic, do y'all have any specific points on this, the recruitment style from the point of view of yourselves, not the overall leader, because definitely he'll have a different answer than y'all. From the first person point of view of you two, what is this system of recruitment like?
Oh, I think you said it best. It's something that's new, and I think it's like fresh to the NA scene, and I just think it's it's like it's new, it's different, and I think trying something different is couldn't really hurt anyone right now.
Definitely
No, I
not.
second that. Yeah, I second that. It is new. I've been in. Now I can only say this from my point of view. From the time when Warband was the big shit, was the big dog on the planet in terms of military. Sorry, not military. Medieval life simulator type thing. I've been part of a number of different clans, and so far none of them have ever used this type of system before. It's not for everyone. I will say this: it is not for everyone. It won't appeal to every single person, but it is definitely new, and that fact there does help draw in some people that are interested, and the ones that stick around, they get the full experience. The ones that don't, well, they got to experience a bit of that newness, so to speak.
It's very
You know,
impactful for letting people see like this I guess trial system, or no, maybe not trial system, but this innovative
cons-
system.
it's
Yes.
like a feudal system, and if you think of it, if you go back into medieval times, every lord would have to recruit from their own villages, towns, and the king would get a percentage of those men, but in reality, the king would have to also recruit from his own towns, right? And you can share the recruits, or you could transfer them from vassalship to vassalship. Well, it's the same thing we're doing here. There's people that they're like, oh, I want a military order in OM, but I don't want to do anything. It's like, well, then why even seek a leadership role, right? If you want to be a leader, you have to act like one and do things that require from a leader. If I am, if I, the founder of OM, have to recruit for you and have to do everything for you, then there's no point of you being a lord with your own men, right? If it's only going to be you leading them in battle, because in fact you won't be leading them in battle. That will be your captain, because you'll be riding with me in the cavalry.
Oh, each
So we
knight
have
is
that.
on cavalry. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Being a knight or a squire means your nobility, means you get the right to have a horse. There's also peasant, like we divide the ranks in peasantry and nobility. It's not that we treat people as peasants, right?
Obviously.
So don't take me wrong. I'm not even a noble. I'm just there you could have a horse if you are a loyal member who has been around for a while, and you've proven to be active and partake in all events. You could get the right to be part of your lord's retinue. So if you're under Egan, you'd be under his retinue and cavalry, right? But all cavalry falls under me after all,
That's where the whole realism aspect comes into play,
for the recruitment system. Yeah.
because back then, only really the nobility or the very wealthy were able to actually afford horses for knights and stuff like that. So
Indeed.
And Yeah, and just let me add one more thing to the recruitment system. I think it's better if it's not only me recruiting. If so, imagine that you have 10 lords, and those 10 lords or grandmasters are fully engaged with the community. You have 10 people actively recruiting in your community, right? So it's not. It's like a power. It's like a, how do you say this? Imagine like
Force multiplier.
yeah, it's a force multiplier where you get to, you're not doing it on your own, and you get more recruits than if you do it on your own, right? So that's why I have other people also recruit. Doesn't mean I stop recruiting, but we get to more people. We reach more people if we are more people recruiting.
I was reading this like very old book one time, and it said like if like 2 or 3 people are gathered together, then something really cool happens. Uh, so if you have one guy with a passion gets another guy with a passion, you're able to do a lot. You're able to do a lot, and that just having those 2 people as leadership, and like you said, like 10 people being leaders, like real leaders of men, will man that has such a potential effect, potentious effect. I don't know what word to use there, but it can move
It has a
mountains.
big impact.
Can
Yeah.
move mountains. Warband, do you have any notes on that before we move on to the next section?
Well, I was gonna
Uh,
say, we've heard sort of similar systems where, like, like the officers will recruit people. I think it's great to see that you guys are doing it in like a role play focused way, and it's just nice to see. And it's totally like it's really difficult to recruit. If you're the only person recruiting, like what, you can get maybe like 2 or 3 guys per day if you really grind. But if you have a bunch of people, maybe you could get like 5 or 10 guys in a day.
Do y'all you mentioned like some people stay and then some people leave. Do you have any considerations for like retention, like how you keep around your players outside of the RP aspect, or is there
yeah.
kind of nothing you can do at that point?
No. I mean, people have left for several reasons. Some of them, don't leave. They're just inactive due to life. We don't have a minimum attendance requirement, so we sometimes don't see them again. And then after a month, they're like, "Hey, I'm back," and we're like, "Okay, welcome back. Great to see you." But other people do leave and say like, maybe this isn't the group I was looking for, and this happened to us at the start. Not anymore. In the start, we were we kind of left the RP aspect aside, and we became like a milsim, right? I mean, we that's where we messed up back then, right? So what are we doing right now to retain people is we do not enforce roleplay. If you want to roleplay, you can roleplay, but what's going to make you feel immersed is that the most of our members do roleplay. So in roleplay events, if you don't roleplay and you're just quiet, you're going to feel like you're in a medieval time because other people are making the scenario feel alive. So not forcing people to roleplay or just be part of that like strict scenario makes them stay because they know they're not being forced, and also not having a minimum attendance also makes them stay. Apart from that, I always DM every member of the group asking if everything is fine, if they need something. We try to help each other, we hang out, we play other games, and we're trying to build a community, right? So I think that helps a lot with retaining members. Apart from that, we also have a lot of young members, which we try to kind of socialize in between adults and kids at the same time, which sometimes can be hard, but we've managed to create a cool community, so that makes them stay too.
Interesting. Do you have by any chance like a minimum age limit? Because I mean, this game it's not for the faint of heart.
Well, we really don't. We base ourselves on their maturity. I think our youngest member is 13. And then from 13 we have to 30 something, 30ish, and 40ish. But yeah, everybody gets along, which is really cool. apart from that, we also have people from all religions or agnostic people, or people that are not agnostic. And the reason why they stay being another religion in a crusader group is because we did not enforce a religion into them, right? It's just RP purposes, and that also makes them stay because we've got people from being Muslims, Jews, Protestants, Roman Catholics, Christians, and
Take me,
they're
for example, as well, Norse pagan, and here I am still.
and everybody shares just the passion for the history of the Crusades. So that also makes them stay because many think we are just Christians and we're not.
Oh, that's
Not all of
interesting.
us.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's entirely unique, and that is very surprising to me personally. In a good way. I'm very glad to hear that, because what I see from a lot of communities is that, like, if you say God one time in the Discord, or if you have like a cross anywhere, then people are like, oh, I can't join that clan because they hate me. They just assume that they're hated. But I really think that, if you have an appreciation, like you said, for the history, for the life lessons from the stories that we read, and the civilizations that interacted, those things are definitely important, and they're fun to play in the video game. So if everybody loves the video game, we don't have to agree on like transcendent ideals in real life, as long as
Yeah.
we can all play the game together and
Yeah. And so
love the
long
game.
as they don't, yeah, and so long as they don't try and force their own religion down another person's throat.
Yes, freedom of faith.
So yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
As long as you're respectful to other people's religions, then you'll get along just fine here.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
and also I think you've experienced it too, Lome. I'm saying it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm sorry, my
That's
pronunciation
alright.
is not the best. Um, you've experienced it. When we do RP scenarios, we're not doing RP scenarios where it's spreading hate towards the IUB faction. There's something that I like to tell everybody before the RP is we are not RPing to spread hate. We are RPing to spread the passion for the history. So when you were part of it, you were a villager, and they were in the village, the hospital. There were like 9. There was a detachment of 9 crusaders in that village to do Hearts and Minds mission, and the captain knew that it was a mission of Hearts and Minds because we, in the monastery, our resources come from you, right? So if we kill you, we are affected by it. So it's not about like in some movies where they're trying to spread hate. It's more like in Kingdom of Heaven where it says that it's just a kingdom of conscience, right? And that we are no different from each other. So yeah, some people think that we're just based on Christianity.
It's
And,
very fun, because I remember from the RP event that y'all had yesterday. I don't want to spread too much or talk out of school, as some people say, but I found it funny how at the end you were doing like the report thing, and someone said that one of the villagers did die, and they got chewed out. Like they were so very sternly reprimanded because the specific thing was don't kill any villager. So that's very true what you're saying.
Yeah. He was punished. The soldier, the hospitaller who killed the Muslim, the Ajibit guy villager was punished by becoming a penitent and sentenced to 10 lashes in the back. So we kind of just we're fair.
Yeah, and that's a story for not just the next RP event, but that's also like a funny story you can share through the Discord, and like if other clans come, they can have those experiences as well. That's not something that I've seen before.
Yeah. I mean, next day they were like, this guy got punished, and then whenever I go into the VC, they're like, oh, watch for the Lord. I hope you don't get punished again, right? And then there's like a kind of sense of jokes, like camaraderie between the guys, where they're like, hey, do you remember when I don't know, Winberg knocked out the Lord by accident, right? And they're like,
Oh, God,
yeah,
I remember that.
he really messed up on that. Or do you guys remember when this initiate couldn't wheel properly? And people just, there's camaraderie for it too.
We bust each other's balls often.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, so moving on to the next section, Warbandman. Would you take it from here? So
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
I
there
was
we
trying
go.
to unmute myself. So what kind of events well, we have touched on this a little bit, but could you get more in detail about some of the events that you do? I know you mentioned you have a mod, right?
Yeah. So just to go overall, just to like organize it. We participate in 2 battle events hosted by other groups. We do the Bloodhold one on Fridays and the Atria one on Saturdays. But then for our own, also on Saturdays, starting out, we host our own training. We do it in roleplay. We do it in character. We do our own training, where we just help each other try to get better. Go over some of our you know drills and formations in character. And then as you were there, I believe it's Lemay, you were there the one yesterday. Then after the
Yes.
trainings, we have our own RP event where we go through, just it's like a campaign. Everyone gets in character, and then we all everyone has like a free will, but we still like follow character, doing role play, and just events play out, and it's planned out, organized by Godfrey here. And then at the end of every Friday, or every Friday, the last Friday of every month, we host our own battle event, where
That is a crusade battle, essentially.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
what was that?
Crusader event. It would be an Armada pack and on our server of our map.
Yeah, we're all the clans, because we're not there yet to be many military orders. So some clans get the opportunity to play with OM, and the other clans are playing as the Ayabit faction, which goes answers the question Warband man had about if there's an Ayabit faction. Yes, we did. Our events are unique from other events. We try to have the enemy faction play as what we're trying to recreate, right? So when we started this event, we had people say like, "Can I use my skins?" And I was like, "No, not because I don't want you to, because we're trying to recreate some like themed event here, right?" And that's one of the events we partake to. And also, want to say a big shout out to Cookie for being a really kind and supportive guy for the NA community, and letting us host our events on the last Fridays of the month of every month. And yeah, that's pretty much of what we attend for the events, and then in between the weekdays,
Oh
not
yeah,
the
and
weekends.
just before you answer that part, I will double down and reiterate on thank you, Cookie, for literally changing the schedule of your event so that other people can understand that OM also hosts events. That is real support. That is real um, positive interaction between clans outside of just playing other games with each other. That is something that is so powerfully informative on how Cookie views the NA community and the relationships that we can have across teams. That's amazing stuff.
Exactly. Yep. And for our weekdays, we have initiate training. So those who apply to the group will get an interview. It's not an interview or where we tell them like why should we pick you. No, it's an interview where we explain what the group is of, like what's about, and we just talk to them to know them. And then after the interview, they get their initiate training. They schedule their initiate training, and within the week, we do initiate trainings, and also we do the seminary trainings where seminarians get their classes, and their squires get trained by their lords or grandmasters too. So those are like unofficial events throughout the week too. And sometimes we all hop on and play PB and CRPG too.
So for your mod, was that developed by you or one of your members?
The mod was developed by me, as in, I compiled it. The armors are vanilla, but the textures are ours. I retextured the whole vanilla armors myself, as well as the banners. The monastery was made by Snorri and paid by by all of us. We all gathered money and paid for the monastery, and has been revamped by Secret Blaze, which is one of the developers for Sword and Musket. And then we got some scripter, which is his name. Give me 1 second, because I can't recall. His name is Suicide Party. He's helping us, develop some scripts here. And then we have Balian, which is known as Zodiac, which is the owner of EOE Flavor Pack, who is making actively our some newly models too, which are not in game yet.
Shout out to EOE. Shout out to Fat Rod. I love that mod. 1100 is my favorite of all time Bannerlord mod. Just wanted to interrupt there. Sorry.
Don't worry. Yeah. For us to have the support of them, we had to talk to them and be like, hey guys, can you help us out? Especially with Zodiac, we asked for his permission to use the mod pack itself, and then he said like, yeah, and I'll make stuff for you and I'll put it on the mod pack. But yeah, for those who might want to think that you can grab the mod pack and use it for yourself, you need the permission of Zodiac first of all. And for our assets, yeah, you would need our permission. But yeah, that's basically.
When you said the monastery, when you mentioned the monastery, is that a custom 3D model, or is that like something that was made using assets which are already in the game?
There are assets. The monastery was made with vanilla assets, but there's also custom assets. Like arches and windows and other stuff, and prefabs and textures. And then, for example, the battle, the Kragdas Chevaliers, where the Crusades happened, that was made by Secret Blaze himself. So that's also some custom textures, and other things are vanilla. So yeah, it's a mix. But the mod pack is compiled by me, but it's not entirely made by me.
Yeah.
There's a team behind it.
Of course. So does your group have any other games which you play?
Games as outside of Bannerlord, right?
Yeah.
Hávarðr will answer that question for me.
Yeah. Like we said, well, we're not doing our own like trainings or events. Like we said, we're a community, so we all hang out whenever people have spare time. So we play other games. Like some of us play Armor of a Forger. Recently, some of us have started playing Sea of Thieves again, and it's been fun. We just hang out and play some other games.
Okay. Well, with that being said, unless there's any questions from the audience, we can move on to the next section. One way.
Oh yes. A lot of the times I'll forget, and we won't answer questions from the audience until the end. But now that Warband reminded me, you can ask questions at any time, and if it's a good enough question, we will have it on the show. But don't fool yourself into thinking that everything you type in there is legitimate enough to show up on the show. Come on. So yeah, we've had some people put in questions that are just ridiculous. So yeah, I'll say that we love these people here, but I can't answer everything. With that being said, we'll move on, I suppose, to the next section. Question 7. Usually it's what is the culture of OM like? You mentioned it's very authentically medieval, very specifically Holy Order specific, in terms of the understanding of how the kind of that kind of system worked in its own time. Is there any other details that you would like to give us regarding the way that you run the culture, the way people interact with each other outside of things that you've already mentioned?
Yeah. I mean, forgot to tell that the RP style, is just when we are in session trainings or battles. Outside of that, no one has to call someone a lord or a captain. It's just we're all just playing and normal for the culture thing. And also want to mention that I think this makes us also unique is that I will eventually retire from leading OM itself. And what I want to create here is that if other clans decide to merge into OM, or there are lords in OM, I want grandmasters to vote on the next king of Jerusalem eventually, and that will be the next OM leader. But but with me being in the back, just in the shadows, supervising it as the Pope. So we're gonna have 2 leaders. We're gonna have the cardinal, which will be one, and the king of Jerusalem. Those 2 will manage this. The cardinal will manage the church as he likes, and the king will manage the military orders and baronies and principalities as he likes, right? But with following the vision and mission of OM. Of course, I'll be the Pope just to check and supervise. It's just like an honorary title, nothing more. But yeah, I just think that will be cool for those who aspire to one day lead the community entirely can. And when someone becomes the king of Jerusalem, and let's say for example you were the Grand Master of the Hospitallers, the Military Order of the Hospital of St. John, right? And you get picked and chosen to be king of Jerusalem by the other Grand Masters, well, then there's a new spot for a new to be the new Grand Master. So there's always going to be constant, positions of nobility for everyone, and it's not going to be a permanent thing, right? So being king will be like 6 months being king, and then they have to choose a new king, right? And then the same thing for the cardinal, and then they both answer to the Pope orders, which is me, the Holy See, which is really cool for the culture in the future.
Now, where are the other holy letters? I hear a lot about this Holy See, but there's like 25 other letters in the alphabet, isn't there?
As for what the Holy See
it was a joke. That was a bad
joke. I was confused, like what? Yeah, no. Like the Holy See is the Vatican, but it was not known as the Vatican back then. That was not their name. Their official name in the First Crusade was the Holy See.
The Holy See. Yes, thank you for that history lesson. I'm not sure if that's like common knowledge outside of people who studied the Crusades specifically, but that's a good piece of reference there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good culture that will make people, also in their free time maybe be like, hey, can I gain your support in being, I don't know, the new king, or can I gain your support in being the new cardinal, right? And you'll have to meet some requirements. And I think that'll make the community have a unique culture, that's not being seen in any group at all. Because what I've seen is even in BRE, which has like their different vassallships and all, is the king will be the king forever, right? And those who are lords will just be lords forever, right? They cannot aspire to something more. So I want people to always have the possibility to aspire to something more, right?
Of course. Okay, so as far as culture, staying on that subject, one thing that you can really kind of see progression and continuity of culture through is names, right? So I want to ask about the names that y'all chose, because I mean they are very different. All of your Discord names are very different from your in-game names, which is like a lot of people have it like that. Some people have the same name. I like to have the same Discord as most of my games. But can you tell me a little bit about why y'all three chose the names that you chose, and if it has anything to do with like the specific culture of OM or the time period or anything like that, or like what made y'all choose those names?
Okay, I'll start with mine. Godfrey is for the first name. The Rillefort is the last name. I chose the last name because we in OM only allow people to have last names if they're nobles. Godfrey because eventually when we grow and this expands the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the first king in history was Godfrey de Bourbon, which was a French king. For Jerusalem. So yeah, that's like everybody has a name and they choose it in between German names, French names, Latin names, Nordic names, adapted to the medieval times. So yeah, I don't know what Egan might say or Melcher, but yeah, go ahead, guys.
Oh well, like I said, when we joined, we're asked to choose just like a name just so we can use it in role play. And for me, it was simple as I wanted to choose a name that I just knew when someone would say it, they were definitely talking about me, because I had a hard time just switching between names. So I chose Melcher because it was just unique sounding.
And is that specifically Melchor or Melkor?
It's Melchor. I see why people say Melkor or Melkor, but we say it as Melcher.
Okay, gotcha.
I kind of struggle with the same thing with his name as well from time to time, so I fully understand that.
Yeah.
But in terms of, for me, Egon, it was kind of something similar. Just wanted something unique to me, so that way I'll know they're talking about me. But it was also mainly just I needed a medieval name. I just picked a name, just like eeny, meeny, miny, Egon. There we go.
Egon. No, I did notice that it does sound similar to Aegon, the Game of Thrones dynasty name of the Targaryens, which I thought was very
I
cool.
noticed that afterwards, after I'd already
Afterwards.
picked it, and I was just like, "Well, this is gonna cause some interesting things."
Has it, or do people usually not notice?
It has a couple times, and I was just like, I just have to say, no, this is not a Game of Thrones reference.
Yeah, because there's no A at the front of it, so that's
Yeah.
good.
You know what's interesting? I never seen a Game of Thrones clan before. I mean, maybe no, that's not true. Sometimes they have them in like PB, but I've never really seen a permanent one.
That's
Uh,
true. I don't know any
I
Bannerlord
can
clans
actually
that do
say there was actually two that I was a part of before. One, which is actually an EU clan. This was back during the Warband era, like when Mountain Blade Warband for Persistent World. There was House Lannister, run
the
by a
famous
person
House
who called
Lannister.
run by a person who called himself Tywin Lannister. And there was also House Blackfire, who is originally a NA clan and is, to my knowledge, still active, not as much as they were before, but they are still one of the largest NA clans still active, but they fully transitioned to being a community-based one. So they're no longer doing purely Warband or Bannerlord stuff. They transitioned purely to being a community, but they are still active.
That's interesting. I do know that there's an EU event that still goes on. The same ones that run the Ottoman Crusade event, they also do the Seven Kingdoms event, so that's cool. I don't know if they're like very out there in the EU community, but I definitely do like their events. That's for sure. Okay, so on to the not even the last question. Damn. Well, we 53 minutes in. We're not even halfway done. How about that? That's real conversations. Okay. So, next question, number 8. What historical concepts and sources do you use for your training and your RP? So whenever you go through and kind of get into detail about in the areas that you actually do want to provide that historical authenticity and that experience and that direct knowledge from the past, do you have any specific texts or any specific like primary sources, artifacts, things that you use to directly show like, hey, here's how it actually looked? I know I wrote some kind of training documents for Bannerlord multiplayer that were much too long, but they were based on the Byzantine Strategicon or
Okay.
Strategicon basically. And I basically took that, I loved it, so I put it into Bannerlord and just applied Bannerlord principles to it. Is there anything like that for y'all?
Yes, for example, for the initiate training, we use like historical, process or what is it, procedures they used to do. For example, their initiates would be shaved and and bald. They would use robes of sign of humility and chastity for the initiates, right? And then, for example, for squireships and knighthoodships, and being part of the brotherhood, we take those, we investigate, and Google and try to find on forums, of historians, or books that we have, or we also have two historians with us, help us guide us through the with the gear or with the training procedures for the combat. The Crusaders didn't use just one tactic. They fought depending on the scenario. So we just use medieval strategy overall, right? For example, for theology, we use nowadays theology, and we also use theology back then. Or for the seminarians, it is more of a thing that we created, a training, SOP that we created for them. For the baptisms, we use the actual baptism procedure, not at its 100%. Like we don't replicate it to 100%, but we try to. So our sources, we take them, from everywhere. For example, Melcher can here tell you on how I kind of, teach him the basic stuff of medieval history, as for coat of arms, formal etiquette, what was the job of a squire, what was expected of a knight, what were the different military orders that existed back then in the First Crusade, Second Crusade. He can tell you a little bit of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so once I became a squire, I just started finding any like historical documentation I can, or just historians just talking about everything that was expected of that, and just trying to do as much research as we can to be as authentic as we can and respect the history there.
Do you have coats of arms for your different players? If they're maybe a noble, do they get their own coat of arms, or do you use only the coats of arms of the military orders?
So for coat of arms, it was known that grandmasters and were not using their own coat of arms because obviously they're priests, so that whenever they became an initiate, because it doesn't matter if you were noble or a peasant, you would become an initiate, and you would train all together, right? Whenever you were done with your initiate training, those who were nobles, they lost their lands, their men, and everything, but they kept their nobility title, which made them, brother knights. And those who were not nobles, they would become brother sergeants. Now, for the knights, they would not carry a coat of arms because they made a vow of chastity and, leaving all their past behind. So if they were the king of France, they wouldn't use their coat of arms. The only ones that would actually use their coat of arms was the first king of Jerusalem and the second one. After that, coat of arms of your personal families were left behind. For roleplay purposes and to keep the people engaged, in the chapters, what chapters are the equivalent of baronies. Chapters is a made-up thing by us. They existed, but it's not what it means for us right now. Like, chapters were not a military force. Chapters were just like a priory of a small church within a church. And they get their own coat of arms created by us that we come up with. So, for example, the Military Order of the Hospital of St. John is based on St. John, right? So the chapter would be maybe the chapter of St. John the Baptist, which is the same saint, but just with its full name, right? So we try to give them maybe St. John as a coat of arms in their banner, and that's how we kind of also do our gather our information and kind of sometimes craft it by us, which is why we say we're not 100% historical accurate, but we base from the documentation that exists.
That's the core of it. I won't say hate, but I detest that some players in some maybe actually a lot of places like to have historical accuracy, but the deepest level of historical accuracy they've been exposed to is not like a textbook on the period or like a podcast from a historian. It's a YouTube video. It's like a 6-minute YouTube video that's half animated. So the fact that y'all use actual texts or artifacts or you have historians who can tell you, I can't fully blame the people who rely on YouTube videos because they don't have the other points of reference to know, because if they did, they would obviously go to the deeper stuff. But I love how you have people who are dedicated to exposing history and increasing therefore the appreciation of it.
Yeah, for example, this armor you can see in the pictures, it's basically armor from the Second and Third Crusade. Armor from the First Crusade was horrible. And when I told Zodiac, hey, I want, armor from the First Crusade, he was like, are you sure you want armor from the First from the first crusade, he would not like it, man. And he showed me pictures, and then there was this other historian that said that not all hospitallers or all crusaders used to wear the crosses in their monk robes. That was just a noble thing, a thing for nobles. And I was like, well, I get it, but if we do not let people wear the crosses in their monk robes, they're gonna feel like there's no progression for them, right? So we had to cut some things out to make it more interactive. But yeah, we have the good sources and textbooks and historians.
That's wonderful. Okay, so this question, as always, I will preface it by saying it's not about the OOC, the out of character stuff, or the larger community stuff. It's mostly about in-game, specifically in the video game servers of Mount and Blade Bannerlord. Which clan does OM work with the most and work against the most? Not like in terms of animosity, just what side do you like fighting and you fight them a lot, and what side do you like fighting with and you fight with them a lot?
Well, I'll be honest with you here. We like fighting with everybody. It's not like we say like, we're with this, clan. It's the other way around. I think that fighting with all clans, and sometimes with some and sometimes with others, give us a lot of insight and teaches us new things on how to adapt with other clans. And we're always happy to fight with them. All clans are challenging. I don't think they're, you can say that they're easy peasy, because all clans are constantly developing and getting better. So we're just happy to play with everybody, and invite. We would be happy to have everybody with us. I've always, sent invitations to all clan leaders to, hey, if you want to come to the RP events, you're welcomed. If you want to come to our crusade events, you're also welcomed. We do not exclude anyone. Doesn't matter what happens or, what happened in the past. We're always, neutral and remain professional about it. So yeah, that's pretty much my answer to, what clans are we siding with?
That makes sense. That's actually one of the most coherent answers I've gotten for that question. It's you don't have allies or enemies or rivals or anything like that. You just play against everyone and enjoy fighting. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I know some clans like to be neutral, but neutral is a very different thing from being open to fight with everyone. Okay, so next question and last one of this section is, what is OM's greatest achievement as a clan?
I'll be taking care of that one. In terms of as a clan and OM's greatest achievement, I'd say it would really just be the sense of community that we have been able to foster. I mean, yes, it was a bit of a rocky start, but then again, who doesn't have rocky starts in the beginning? But what I like to think that happened with us specifically, and which is what I personally consider our greatest achievement, is the fact that we were able to persevere through that, rebuild, get back up to where we were, and expand from there to how we are now. Just able to continue staying true to who we are as a group, while at the same time learning from mistakes that we've made and mistakes that we've possibly witnessed others making, and incorporating that into a sense of a group that accepts all, loves to play with all, and just overall a fun group of guys to be with. Honestly, there's not really much else I can say in regards to that. I mean, personally, this is what I believe is OM's greatest achievement so far.
And that is an achievement. It's very hard to get even 3 or 4 people to agree on anything. But if you can get 10 to 20 people to consistently get together, play the same game, enjoy the same game, that's it's not only important. It's long. It's a long lasting endeavor. People don't just kind of go away from that. So it's great. Helatios, Hávarðr, anything on that point from y'all's end?
I think for the greatest achievement for myself and what I've seen is part of what Kaeylic is saying, foster that community, like build that sense of we're based in Bannerlord, but we are here for you, and we want you to like feel that you can hop on and camp with us and be like, hey, I'm just gonna go up and get in TeamSpeak and play with Hávarðr because I have fun playing with him outside of Bannerlord games, right? And if I'm feeling, I feel like I had a really bad day, they are there to be with me and help me forget that by playing, right? I think that's something that we were not seeing before, that we were just solely based on you get on training, we train, and that's it, and I'll see you till next event. Which we didn't understand at the start, and that building the community is also a big achievement. I think also what Egan said. Egan said basically all. Just holding together when it was our hardest time, when we lost a lot of members due to the overall general and NA drama. I think we were able to just be like, okay, we're not quitting. We're gonna restructure everything. We're gonna see what the community needs and what they want to see, and we're still gonna adapt that without losing what OM is. So I think that's our greatest achievement.
Good stuff. Okay, so Mr. Warbandman, would you like to take the next section? Also, before we get to that, though, Mr. H and Mr. GTB Dalton, thank you for having an entire conversation off to the side. I've been keeping an eye on that. It's quite funny. Glad that y'all have figured each other out, I suppose. One of you had a question. Let me see if I can scroll back up to it. Let's see here. When is Baldwald and Finn getting promoted?
Yeah, I'll leave that to the captain.
Leaving it to the captain.
Oh, really? Really?
After all, the captain is in charge of the infantry. I'm not. So
that is true. Now I will say this: I have been on a bit of a hiatus for a while. I've only recently just returned. In terms of an RP sense, I had returned from a mission deep in the deserts, so I'm still getting reacquainted with everyone and the new recruits. But in terms of Baldwald the Delayed,
I think
and
you
in
should
terms
be.
of Finn,
Oh my
and in
god.
terms of Finn, they will get promoted when I personally feel that they have earned it, and so far they have been doing rather damn well, and I hope to continue seeing that, because I do pay attention. It may not look like it, but I do pay attention.
Yeah. Just to answer real quick, also Boutwald and Finn were promoted recently last week. So, and Finn was promoted this week. So, they just like having fun and doing some trolling around sometimes.
I bet.
That's who they are. Yeah, we're not that strict as a group. So yeah, that's what also fosters the community itself. They're always like, who's gonna get promoted first? So yeah,
we bust each other's balls. We give each other little funny titles, like what I said before. Baldwald the Delayed.
Oh yeah. He was
And does
named
that go
Delayed.
in the Discord for like at least a month or something, or can you?
No,
change it?
it stays with it forever.
Oh, forever.
Yeah, he is known as, so it is like your reputation. So Baldwald is known for charging at last in battles. He's always like afraid to fight. He's like learning how to fight. So he's always like, I'm gonna stay back and let everybody else do the work. And if we're winning, he's gonna charge in at later on. And he's gonna be like, oh, I'm here. I'm actually helping. But if we're getting killed, he's just like, oh, okay, I'm just waiting to see what happens. So that's why we call him Baldwald the Late, because he's always late to the engagements.
But that does not mean that he is a bad fighter. So like it's a fun little thing we do.
It's a quirk,
He
yeah.
arrives
Yeah.
late. That's all he does. He arrives late.
Yeah.
Fashionably late. Yeah, he always shows up in style.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and also nobles can get, titles like, I don't know, the discernible, or the honorable, or the bold, it's that kind of stuff, the reckless, and it stays for you forever. So, and you only get those titles when it's, in session events. If you're just hanging out, playing other games, you won't get a title for it. So, it's cool.
That is. Okay, so Mr. Warbandman, if you will take the next section about the team and the personal motivations.
Okay, so my first question, which we already touched on a little bit, which is what keeps you playing Bannerlord even when it gets unpleasant? And you guys sort of went over that for your greatest achievement, but you can respond again if you like.
Yeah, you said it best. Like the greatest achievement is probably like the same answer for that. It's just the community that we built. We're all there for each other. Just whenever someone has an issue, Godfrey said it before. He regularly checks up on people, sees if there's having any issues, or just being there for each other when playing other games. It's just being able to be there for each other really just is like a deterrent to just not giving up on the game and being around these guys because they're cool.
Okay.
Indeed, Egan. Yeah.
So the next question
I
is,
think Egan wanted to say something.
oh, okay, go ahead.
If it was in terms of question
Yeah, what
10,
keeps you going?
oh, what keeps you going?
Yeah.
Basically, it was just it's the story aspect. It's the creativity. Even when some stuff happens, like whether an update to the game happens that breaks some stuff, or you just find more bugs and you just don't want to play for a bit, and then what draws me back into Bannerlord as a whole is the fact that you can create your own story. It's kind of tied into the whole RP aspect as well. You're only limited by your own imagination. It's There's an infinite amount of possibilities that you can create with a game like that. And for me personally, that's what brings me back to the game.
Yeah, and I think what brings me back, you know, I don't play much single player. I only play multiplayer. And before I created my clan, I used to play another clan. So what brings me back is just the constant motivation and discipline of saying I want to grow OM, not because of me, but because I want to give something that lasts forever, and other people can live that I was not able to as a regular foot soldier, and making OM better, and getting to know other people, and developing tech that hasn't been seen in the multiplayer scene, just and Bannerlord keeps me, it keeps me there.
Okay, so my next question is, what is your main goal for the clan? Are you trying, I think I know the answer already, but I'll ask anyway. Are you more focused on growing your community or like getting more skilled players or something like that?
It's actually kind of a bit of both, really. We're hoping to grow the community as a whole. That's kind of like just a overall goal, I think, for all gaming clans or anything like that. But we are also trying to expand our own player base within 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 the multiplayer side of Bannerlord, within the clan itself. Whether that be getting completely new players like little tiny nooblets and training them up to be just tanks in the field, to just creating a more what's the word, camaraderie between ourselves, other community members in various other different games or game modes. Really, it's just I think our goal as a whole really is it's a bit of both of that.
Grow in general, just grow.
Yeah.
Growing tall, growing wide.
Growing in every direction.
Yeah. Also, I did have one question though specifically, and this is a question for Godfrey or Helatios.
Hey,
Really.
I'm asking the
Uh,
questions here. Just kidding. Go ahead.
More specifically, what's your thoughts, Godfrey, on Weinberg the Hound?
Weinberg the Hound. I think we should. Yeah, I think we should name him the Hound because he chases everything and falls out of line every time.
He's a
There you go.
bloodhound.
Was he in the archery event yesterday? Because I
Yeah.
think I kept
Yes, he
hearing his
was.
name.
Yeah, it was the guy we were telling him to come back because he kept chasing the guy he had to engage. Yeah, it's in Winberg.
The Hound.
So if you're hearing this, Winberg, you are now officially Weinberg the Hound.
Maybe the Bloodhound. He can smell them from miles away.
Yeah.
So are there any projects that your group is working on, like your mod or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, we're working on scripts here. Still being on work in progress. So don't expect it soon. But we're working on a AI bot system where the AI can actually kick and show bash, and you can actually place them in a multiplayer scenario where I can decide to place them, I don't know, in a village and just have them not maybe engage, but maybe just walk around and make the village feel alive, or maybe have a formidable force of enemies that my group or my community can fight off, right, without having to necessarily depend of other clans itself, which can actually also help for internal events. And yeah, the scripter we have, he's really good at it. This is just general scripting. We're also working on just modifying the how many flags appear in the battle mode instead of 3, just 1. So working on making idle animations for certain loadouts where I don't know, maybe an initiate would just stand like kind of weird, like silly, while a noble would stand more formidable, like look good looking, with idle animation. We're also working on making seats, so you can be able to sit down. That'll enhance our RP system, and we are also revamping the monastery to something better looking.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and there's more stuff, but yeah.
Do you
Well-
have, by any chance, like any plans to host like a battle event? Because I know you have like a server. It seems pretty stable. Were you ever considering doing like maybe skirms or like more massive battles, kind of like Atria or HRBH does?
We do. That's when Cookie doesn't host his events on the last Friday. Well, the Friday of the last Friday of every month. Is that how you say it? Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, I meant like separate from those events. Do you ever plan on kind of branching out into different sorts of battle events? Maybe because I know like the Ottoman Crusade people, they have the Seven Kingdoms one. They have the ones where they take out all the flags and you just fight on the map, and it's like last person standing. Maybe since y'all are like an innovative clan, you have new systems. You have real historical authenticity to some degree. Um, Maybe would y'all ever consider doing a new game mode? Maybe that's something that y'all would. I don't know, something like that.
Well, we are, well, I am thinking of creating a new game mode for multiplayer where it's not a persistent world, not at all, not even close, but it's more of a mode that can like help enhance the RP system. Where what I wanted to happen is to a point where people can just hop on and be on the Saracen side, right? But if you want to be on the OM side, you have to kind of be whitelisted in some way, and just role play it out, make the map feel alive. It's gonna be more of enhancing the RP system. That's like my main project right now. And other people can attend to it, yeah. But if you want to, feel the full benefits of being a crusader, you would need to be part of OM.
Makes
That's like
sense.
basically it. Yeah, for a new battle mode and multiplayer. Maybe making I was thinking of making a vanilla server with Crusader maps for people to play just with vanilla without maybe just a mod pack where they have to download the maps and just so they don't play the same map that Tailworld gives them. So yeah, I was thinking on that too.
Well, we will be very excited to see what comes out in the near future, or maybe far future, depending on how long it takes all of us to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the final section of the pre-prepared questions, and then as always, the audience can ask additional ones. So, what or this is for on the subject of OM and the NA community. How do you think the NA community can be improved and extended into the people who only play single player?
That is actually a good question.
That's Melcher.
Yeah.
Even
So
still,
yeah, it's a good question. My biggest my thoughts to that is just like overall exposure because I only like started playing like multiplayer and getting into this like 6 to 8 months ago. I had Bannerlord since it came out, and I literally did single player for the entire time I've been playing, and then only recently I found out how like in depth the multiplayer scene is, and I just think overall exposure just to like everything is just needs to increase so people can find out like that this scene is here and like there's these events that go on and there's all these different clans as, like and it's just like just yeah. So like when I was like getting into the multiplayer scene, it's like one of the reasons why I joined IM because I saw that they took RP seriously. Like when I was playing single player, I was doing like Crusader mods, and I was just like everyone like you said you played Bethesda games, like you walk around, you just like your character. So I was doing that with Crusader like mods and single player. But then when I found out that there's actual groups that like actually role play this and there's a whole scene for it, I just thought it was great, and I was just like this needs to be like talked about more.
Amen. That's our mission here. Any further notes, Mr. Helatios?
I think, Megan, you have anything before I say my thoughts about it?
not really. I mean, he pretty much hit the nail right on the head with what I was going to say as well. So, just exposure, just getting the names out there, just
I mean,
bringing it all together. So, yeah.
I mean, apart from exposure and just talking about OM, I think as in as in a community and a community, think to make single players come to multiplayer, I think NA needs to be more united, and professional about it. I think a lot of NA players end up in the EU clans because the EU scene offers better organization, right? And a stronger sense of community when it comes to feeling medieval, even if you're playing other games. Not to forget, let us not forget that NA has had its issues where constant conflict between leaders, clan sabotage, or event sabotage, right? And that's just hurting the scene. So that's why people from single player are going to EU. So the way to bring more people from the NA single player to the NA community is to be a healthier community overall. Yeah, I don't think it helps a lot, with the past events of Atra and VK. It just drove people away from the community itself.
Of course,
Back to single player.
I know that there was like a lot of drama that happened like before I got here to Mountain Blade. But I think what every clan leader and actually every guest on this show has said is that it's communication and like you said, professionalism. They use other words, but being professional, being able to put personal issues aside and prioritizing the success of the game, of the multiplayer aspect of having many people who play this one game, even if they are from different clans or they think differently or they play differently, they are valuable so long as they are not an active detriment. So I think unity, fantastic. Professionalism, fantastic. Like we were saying earlier, the example of Cookie, adjusting the time that he runs his events so that OM can get some spotlight. We like to shout out people on this show so that everyone who has skills can get recognized for those skills, wherever they may be. So professionalism and unity, I think that's gets a +1 from me.
I agree.
All right. So last question of the scripted ones. I do have a non-scripted question prepared for you, Helatios, after this.
All right.
15, the last one. OM's final message to the new players, the average players, and the other clan leaders. So I suppose you can answer, Helatios, for all three, and then Hávarðr, if you want to answer for the new and average players, and same for Kaeylic. Or unless you all have messages for other clan leaders, I guess. That would be
No, don't
interesting.
worry. We got to figure it out.
I just for the new players, I just as someone who, like I said, I recently started into this. It can be like scary trying to find some people, but just don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people. Especially like us, we're always recruiting for people. So like, if anything, you've you heard here talk about this before, but like interests you, we're always looking for people. Like we said, we take it seriously. We do serious role playing. We have an organized structure. But overall, just don't be afraid to reach out and just meet people. That's the biggest thing.
And in terms of for the average players, again, it's the same thing. But what I would add is, honestly, just take a chill pill from time to time. Not everything has to be so serious. I mean, yeah, you can be serious. You can just go try hard as well. But then again, this is a game. It's pixels. So yeah, by all means, have fun. Do what you want to do to have fun. But at the same time, just understand that we're all trying to do the same thing. So just for the average players, myself included, just from time to time, just chill, just relax, have some fun. It doesn't have to be all serious.
And we'll, be addressing the three types. I think for new players, when you're looking for a group, I'd highly suggest you first, reach out to every group, look, research them, see what they do, what they are, if they are what you think they're gonna be. If you're looking for a more medieval styled group, and I suggest talking to them and asking them questions, because sometimes I've seen people be like, "Oh, I was in this group and now I found my group," or "I was in this group thinking it was this, and it's not this. I'm sorry," and then they're in another group, right? Just think, informing yourself as a new player could help you a lot in choosing what groups are there, and not always letting people because there's a lot of manipulation in here. So don't let people manipulate you or tell you what other groups are about. Just see it for yourself as a new player. For average players, you've only seen your point of view most likely is just from the clan you were in. So maybe you could have been from A clan, and the people of A clan could have told you that B clan was something else, and you always thought that was the idea of B clan, right? Not until you tried out B clan. So as an average player, I would suggest to try out other clans, and give it, just not let yourself marry with just one idea. And for the clan leaders, which is I think the most important thing in NA, it's like time to stop working against each other. We gotta start building something together. The constant, and I can't express it more, but the constant drama that I'm watching, like if it was some Game of Thrones, is getting tiring. Where people trying to kill other events is just immature, right? We are clan leaders. We're not supposed. We are the leaders of it, and people will follow us. So if you're just going around and killing and sabotaging others people's stuff, won't help. And we saw that with Atra and VK. Stop doing that. I understand there's competition, but competition does not mean to actually look for revenge. It's not the same thing, right? We need to be in the same mindset. Stop the drama and help each other. And it will only start with one of you doing it. If you're waiting for others to do it, then it will never happen, right? So what
Amen.
yeah. So what I'm gonna tell to the clan leaders is just let's help each other, okay? And please, for the love of God, stop doing the drama. That's it. Yeah.
Yep. I something I like to say is that I dropped out of drama. It's one of the few classes in high school that I did terrible in, got terrible grades. And that should probably, I mean, people who have listened to a lot of these episodes probably understand kind of why. But one thing I will say, just in reiteration of that, is yeah, we are not in a place right now in Bannerlord where we can afford people leaving. And no matter what the drama is, whether it's between players, between clans, between like retinues, whatever it is, you never gain more players by making players leave the game. You can never grow
Mhm.
your clan by destroying another clan. Because then if you make it
Exactly.
unfun for them, they just stop playing the game. It's not like they go to your side. So, and that's for everything. So with that, I will
If I
ask.
may just
Oh
add
yes, please.
something real quick before your question, the next question, I do want to say that, and this is also to clan leaders, is you all clan leaders have to understand that every event has its own rules, right? And that the event organizers understand that you've put time and effort within the week to gather your guys, but if you do not follow the event rules, you cannot just expect to be to be treated with favoritism. Because I'll tell you this, I've had people without clan tags, and in OM we are strict about rules, even with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did not let people attend the events if they did not have clan tags, right? And we have kicked people before the event starts because of the clan tags. And they've called us out for doing that, and we've been like, guys, we've been telling you over and over that you need to use your clan tags. And now there is this like kind of revenge thing where they're just gonna be like, oh, I'm not attending because you're enforcing rules, right? It's not about hating each other. It's just about if they're telling you to follow a rule, just follow it. Like there's nothing wrong with it. And yeah, clan leaders, please,
Truth, yeah. There's nothing wrong with rules. Maybe I mean we definitely need rules in some parts of society because you see what happens when there are no rules, and every single one of you. I'm talking to clan leaders, new players, and average players. I talked to at least a small amount of people, a good amount of people, and most of them, agree that people, the ways that people act just naturally without any kind of prompting is pretty bad. It's pretty terrible, actually. So when there's rules and there's an expectation and there's a society and a structure, then that's when people are able to be civil. Think about the etymology of the word civility. I won't go into it, but just look up where the word civility comes from. My next question is, where, if you don't mind saying, for security reasons, you can ignore this question, but where, Helatios, do you come from? I know that your accent is quite foreign in a good way. I would like to know, where is your homeland?
Well, I'm from Mexico City. I live in Mexico. Always
Mexico.
lived in Mexico. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Very
yeah. I
good.
used to live in Mexico City for a bit. Well, half in Mexico City and the other half in Switzerland. Right now, back in Mexico City. But yeah, I'm Mexican. Which is, I think that's new in NA. I don't think there's been a Mexican
Yeah,
clan
I don't know
leader
very
yet.
many people from Mexico. I know there's Tall or FMGK is from Brazil.
Yeah, but that's South.
Yeah, South America.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still part of North, so.
I would love to get I mean it's not really relevant to Bannerlord, but I do love to kind of like observe demographics, and if we got like all the country flags of the clan leaders, that would be a very nice thing to see. Maybe even like a good advertisement for people, like if there's some people who are like, yeah, I this Bannerlord game looks cool, but there's not going to be a clan from like Mexico, or there's not going to be a clan that bases itself out of Russia. You're like, no, like there's a lot of people from all over the world love this game. So,
Exactly, yeah. I was kind of concerned when I created the group, the community itself. Knowing that that's the thing, man. I already knew NA was really toxic, and I was afraid of creating a community due to people being racist, right? Like real racist. Not like there's something where you joke around in between friends, and that's the thing. But
Mhm.
there's something where they're actually racist and trying to shut you down. and that's the thing I was afraid of. And I think many people are afraid of that, in in the NA community too.
Would you say, on like I guess like a minor topic, would you say that that kind of racism, like the real kind, not just like, saying words that people don't like, is prevalent in the Bannerlord community, or would you say it's kind of more rare and kind of in isolated spots?
It happens. It happens in events where you're looking at the chat and they're just trolling, saying stuff they shouldn't say, like the N words, or stuff like that shouldn't be happening, right? And I think it's a constant thing. It's prevalent, and this is another topic, if I may.
Yeah, of course, go for it.
There's also a thing going on with clan leaders that I don't understand what's going on. The constant ego, like the ego of being, oh, I've been a clan leader for 10 years, and I'm not attending your event because you're new. Forgive me, but that's something immature. Like, if you're a clan leader and you feel like you're some kind of important person because you've been a clan leader for 10 years, you should step down, man. Like, you're not helping the community. And I've seen that happen with some clan leaders.
God complex.
Yeah, and it's horrible, man. It's just, killing the community.
Yeah, that is. I mean, when people start believing that they're untouchable, that's when real problems start, either on their side or because of them. So, obviously, not saying any names. This is a pattern of behavior. So don't think that we or you are thinking about any one specific person. This is a community issue because there's a culture that has to be fixed. Very obviously, I don't fool myself into thinking that every single culture is equally compatible. We have, a culture here that we would like there to be in Bannerlord, a respectful one, a cooperative one, an amicable one, and so
It's also one of the differences between the EU side of Bannerlord and the NA side. As someone that has played on both sides, it is a stark contrast. It is completely different between the two, and just how the general communities are, just how they interact with each other internally, and how they interact across the pond, so to speak.
Yeah,
across
like
the pond.
That's probably geographicing myself there, but yeah.
I started not a new series, but some of the EU clans that I've been talking to, I've been able to interview one and a half, one fully EU clan and one EU NA clan, and what they tell me is actually very, very surprising. I'll go ahead and shout out, my own work here a little bit. There's in the description of this video, there's a whole bunch of links. Go check out all of those links, please. But in particular, there's a YouTube playlist where this video actually is. All of the previous interviews are there, and the EU ones, the one with EXO from TOAC, he actually described something very surprising, which was that, like, a lot of the things that we say about the NA community, he said about the EU community. I mean, there's like very big differences, but a lot of the things about toxicity and interpersonal relationships, the drama, it surprised me a lot that he shed a light on, maybe it's not, the grass isn't so green on the other side.
But it's not between clan leaders. It's more about internal. I've seen it because I'll tell you this. I was part of an EU group for 4 years, right? And I saw their internal issues, but I never saw their outside issues. Why? Because every new clan that came up, they would even get the tech. They would be sharing technology with each other, right? They would be attending each other's events. And you can see that with the EU, like, for example, Atra, myself, and Cookie, which is a Bloodhound, HRBRH, yeah.
HRBH, yeah.
BRE and other EU clans are attending those events, and they're not asking like, "Oh, you're new, I'm not attending," right? Like, I'll tell you something. If I made my group in EU, I wouldn't be struggling with having people attend the clans, the events. And I'll tell you this, and this surprised me when I opened my group. I was like, well, I have this great map, I have this great mod pack. I think everybody will like it. And you know what some clan leaders said? They said, "Why should I come to your event if you're nothing? If you're just new?" And I'm like, dude, what are you on? Are you like in god power mode, or who do you think you are? You know, and that's what makes EU different from NA. Okay, and that's the kind of thing that makes EU better in a certain
Indeed.
way.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely they definitely have less of a what's it called? They let drama interrupt them less because they understand that they have a job to do and they care about the game more than they care about the drama to some sense, even though they do still show it sometimes because we're all human. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that the one big thing that everybody I guess kind of implicitly understands, but I haven't heard said like put into words yet is what makes these events big is clans coming to them. And yes, if an event is not big, then you're not going to get a clan with 50, 60 people who gets there every week. But if that one clan of 50, 60 people did go there every week, guess what? Everyone else would too, because then it is a big event. That's what makes it a big event is lots of people going. So that I think that we would do good to dispel that fallacy of events are not good unless people are already going to them. It's like, you don't have enough experience on your resume until you've worked 3 years at an entry level job. And you apply to an entry level, they're like, you don't have 3 years on your resume. You can't work here. And it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. You're not making sense right now. So there we go.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that surprised me when I knew the NA community itself and its leaders. It always like, what's going on, right? But yeah, I think we should change that.
Indeed. So, 12 people watching concurrently. If any of them have questions, if any of you have questions, I'm talking to the audience, pointing my finger at the screen, even though you can't see it. If you have questions, let us know. It's an open platform and a forum. Lastly, let's see, Warbandman, I haven't heard your voice in a while. Is there any notes that you have?
I'd say like like the events, sometimes you might have to. I've heard that clans sometimes have to negotiate with each other to attend an event. Like I've heard, which it shouldn't really be like that, but events are kind of sometimes used as like bargaining chips within the Bannerlord clan community. So like it's like if we attend this event, we expect something from you in return, kind of thing. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like you may, in order to get more attendance, you may have to make some concessions to other clans, and it's not like specific to you. It seems to be just sort of how things work, which is unfortunate, but
Yeah,
that's just
definitely
the way
unfortunate.
it is.
So I guess as a community, we'll try to come up with some solutions to that and see if if we can figure out an adjustment to the market to make sure that this doesn't remain an issue for a long time. Okay, so that was all of my questions here. If there is no further notes or anything else, we'll just have everybody give their last thoughts and parting greetings to the audience. We'll start with Helatios.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Mr. Hávarðr. Is that I am saying it right? Hávarðr. That's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I do it just more like Americanized, I guess. I just do Hávarðr.
Okay. Any final notes from you or any
Yeah, no, just like I said, this is a great time. I'm glad you had us, and I just really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Of course, I wanted to say that too. I just thought it was another topic. Yeah.
Okay, I was just saying a little final note.
Okay. Yeah, in that case, yeah, I want to thank you, Lome and Warbandman, for having me and my guys. And also, don't forget to join OM. Whoever's watching and listening, it's a great opportunity, great experience.
Well, thank you, Jeremis. Love Jeremis. Says thank you all. He's a great guy. Mr. Kaeylic, any final notes or salutations to the audience?
Basically, just the same as before. Thank you for having us on. Thank you for allowing us to share our stories. And for the viewers, all I can really say is glory and honor to the Lord. Make sure your blood on your sword never dries, and kill the infidels, kill the heretics.
Yes, make them into outfidels, preferably.
Yes.
Okay, Warbandman, any final notes or salutations?
I just want to thank you guys for coming on, and it's very interesting to learn about your clan and all the details. And I actually do have one question,
Awesome.
which so you are an RP group. I'm just wondering if any of you were former members of Atria, or and maybe inspired by it, or if it's completely separate, because
Okay.
they have
There's a
kind of RP.
Okay, no. Okay, I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do this. Warband, you shouldn't have asked this question, man.
Okay.
Oh,
No. Hold on. You're good.
I didn't
Okay,
realize.
I will tell this, and I really don't care if I was threatened not to say. I don't care anymore. Okay, I'm not. What Atra had, the lore they had, the structure they had, I made it myself. Okay.
no way.
I was the one behind everything not everything, but most of the structure, new ranks, loreships, the lore behind every lordship, the name of every lord, a barony, their crest and coat of arms, the Order of the Luminous, the vision of making a vassalship system was mine. I was Sack's squire back then when I exited BRE. Okay, I left BRE after 4 years. And I found myself with Sack because I thought that was the closest to BRE back then. And I was like, and I told him, hey, I can help you grow BRE, Atra, but you have to let me restructure your group and I'll do everything for you, right? GFX wise, lore wise, structure wise, everything. I helped him retexture some stuff, not everything. After that, I saw he was becoming more laid off and casual than what I wanted, which is now what I have with OM. So I told Sack, this is not what I want. I'm leaving, okay? And then a year happened, and then Sack lost everything he made, because I don't know why. But no, Sack asked me not to say, not to take credit for it, but yeah, that's what happened.
You do understand that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, yes?
I have the evidence. I have the documents. I have. Hold on. Look.
Well, we won't share them here. But if you, as always, I will say, if anyone has, because we do have, many of disagreements on certain things that we should be objective on. So if you have a claim and you have evidence for it, I always recommend that people post it somewhere and tell people where it's posted. But I won't personally do it here unless we have Zach on as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, and but yeah, it's something that most people I've got that question a lot of times, that if we're inspired in nature, no, nature is not. We're not inspired in nature. In fact, I was the one who restructured it, and I had to say it because I'm tired of him taking the credit
Well,
for it.
that's a first. Maybe we'll have to have a resolution to that.
You've had if that's the case, then you've had a massive impact on how a lot of clans are structured, because the retinue system with like baronies seems to be pretty common.
Yeah,
it's a good system. I like it.
So you would say like most of that came from like BRE, like the EU stuff that you learned while you were over there?
I do not know if other clans got the idea from me, but when I restructured Atria, I got it from BRE because I knew the NA. When I left BRE, I was like, why does NA do not have a clan like BRE? Like, what's going on? Why are they all so casual and laid back, right? So, I was like, well, I could start helping one clan if they let me do it. And it was Atria back then. So, yeah, I took, part of the idea of BRE to do it in the NA community because I thought the EU community was doing great like that.
Well, learning a lot today. Definitely lots of ideas for future episodes that we will have to conduct. Outside of that, I think that was everyone's final notes. Although, one humorous question for Warbandman: do you happen to be in a new house or perhaps a bathroom? Because we do hear a little bit of an echo. I kind of like it. It adds some character to it because it's not your normal mic or like the normal way that you sound. But if I don't know if you even want to say, but if you would like to answer the question, you can.
Me?
Yes.
Warbandman.
Oh.
I'm using my phone, so it might sound a little different.
Oh, that's what. Okay, yeah. I thought you were like in a big open space or like an empty house or something like that, or maybe a bathroom. I don't know. Okay. Well, that was all the questions. To the audience, I love you, and we will see you soon. And to the guests, thank you again for coming, and we will continue to help build the NA scene together. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.